Guys, this video is gonna be rather personal. I noticed I had 1500 login days in Bleach Souls, and that's over 4 years and 3 months time. Where were you back then? And what were you doing? When I asked myself those two questions, I decided to open up a little bit about my journey. We are YouTubers, but that's only a tiny fraction of what we do and not who we are. Today, I'm joining Facebook as a senior user experience designer, and I still can't believe it, because nothing, and I say absolutely nothing, nor anyone would have ever imagined the journey I was going to take. The story I'm about to tell you is a story about a guy who had no idea what he wanted to do, who had no purpose in life, and wasn't particularly brilliant when it comes to education.
The Almighty が未来を改変する力だ。
まだ全然使いこなせちゃいねえけどな。
So after high school, because I'm not gonna start from the moment I was born, my parents were like, you gotta do engineering. So I started doing material science and engineering, except that I hated it. I did it for 1 year, I hated it, and I left. The following year, I started computer science with management. That was more in line with what I liked, but still not quite there yet. But I didn't want to have degrees every year, so I decided to continue, but with minimum effort. Just the bare minimum to pass. What does that mean? It means that at midnight, right before the final exam the next day, I would ask my classmates for any lecture notes they had, because obviously I dropped it after the second or third lecture, and I would literally activate ultra focus mode for 8 hours, then go straight into the exam at 9. The idea is, if I know I have time to waste and I can procrastinate, I won't be in 100%. So at least with this method, I knew I would focus for 8 hours straight, no distraction. Anyway, I passed and got my diploma, but after that I started being contacted by recruiters for developers jobs. Except that I'm not a developer. So yes, I have an official paper that says I am one, but this is not what I want to do, nor do I have the skills for it, the knowledge, or even the desire to be one. So what? End of the story? I saw all my friends starting their work life and getting jobs, either in software engineering or business analyst, and here I was completely lost and with no perspective whatsoever. So since I couldn't find a path that suited me, I started creating one. And at the time I was 22, and I was just a guy with an idea. I wanted to help people find a significant other, and thus started my entrepreneurial journey to create a dating app. At the time, Tinder had just started and was only a thing across the Atlantic in the US. So I thought I gotta hurry up and get to the European market before them. Great thinking, man, but how do you do this when you can't code, you can't design, and you've got no money whatsoever to kickstart things? So I started learning design. Problem 1 solved. Then I managed to get an opportunity as a design associate with Barclays in beautiful Cape Town, South Africa. It was a time when the Decisive Battle banner dropped in Bleach Brave Souls, featuring Full Auto Ichigo and Secunda Etapa Ulquiorra. I remember the hype around it. It was BBS's golden age. So anyway, I would do my 9 to 5, but that wasn't enough. I went on Facebook and started offering my design services as a freelancer on multiple groups, and I managed to find 2 to 3 clients. Great! So now outside of the 9 to 5, I was working until 1, 2 a.m. and all weekend long on freelance projects, and between 2 to 4 a.m. I was working on my startup idea. You do the math, I was like a zombie, completely sleep deprived for months. On the bright side though, I gained experience in design and money to fund my project. So after the mission with Barclays ended, I decided to go full-time with my startup. At age 23, I was on national television, on the radio, in the newspaper, and online articles would write about me and my startup. I had put my whole heart into this. I learned how to run a business, how to do marketing campaigns, how to register trademarks, how to build a business plan, how to many things actually. Because an entrepreneur wears many hats. Unfortunately, all good things come to an end. And despite having shipped 2 native iOS and Android apps with a little over 30,000 users, including paid ones, despite having created a user journey with a 12 times higher conversion rate than the competition, despite having assembled a 100-page business plan with all the market intelligence any investor could ever dream of, despite all of this, I was still a 20-something years old guy, fresh out of university trying to enter a big boys game while having picked the wrong industry. Because yes, regrettably, no one wants to invest in dating. AI, machine learning, fintech, and all those buzzwords. This is where it was at. So there comes a time where you can either hold on to things that are going nowhere because that's all you have left, or you can move on and come back stronger. But I still had this gap in my heart because I was leaving my baby behind. That's probably one of the reasons that motivated me to start YouTube, to fill up that void. I love Bleach and I loved beach-based souls, and at the time I noticed that the community was there, but it was pretty scattered. So I wanted to gather everyone, regardless of where you come from or what language you speak, instead of having language-based communities across all social media. So back on track, the startup life was officially behind me, and I started thinking, right, I am 25 now. Entrepreneur isn't a recognizable job title on a CV. So where do I get from there? Where do I go? So I started looking back at all the things I did as an entrepreneur and found out that design was something I thoroughly enjoyed. And I had this one experience with Barclays that can legitimate my transition into design. So I completely revamped my CV to tell a coherent story about why I believe someone should give me a chance in design. Then I left home with enough money for 1 month and a half and flew back to London, the city where I studied. I had 6 weeks to start a career in London, and there was no turning back. When I started applying back in January 2018, I'll always remember, all I could get were some junior positions at startups nobody's ever heard of. And they'd ask me, so why do you want to join us? And I'd think to myself, well, I don't, but do I really have a choice? Which came out as, well, I do really believe in what you guys are doing, and I'd be honored to join. Anyway, every day I was contacting tons of recruiters, and every time I was missing something during an interview. I'd research it and become an expert overnight. Like, there was this one time I had one call in the morning and they asked me, so what do you know about design systems? And obviously I knew nothing. I was like, didn't know what to say. But then in the afternoon, I had a call with another company. And meanwhile, I had done my homework. So I started asking them proactively about the state of their design system and where it's hosted and so on. Because obviously, now I was an expert on this. Fast forward 4 weeks of intense job hunt and self-improvement to be better in each interview. And I went from junior role interviews to that one senior user experience position at Orange, also known as EE, the telecom operator. And guess what? I got the job. A year and a half later, after undergoing another 3 weeks of intense job hunt, where I slept very short nights and worked like crazy to step up my game once more, I advanced further and became a lead user experience designer for the National Lottery, which is the 4th biggest e-commerce platform in the country. I even got to work on projects as big as completely revamping the digital experience for the play journeys. That's when people play Lotto, Euro Millions, and so on the website and on the app, and how those pages look like and what the experience is like. That was the single most scary yet exciting thing I had the chance to work on. A year later, which is, well, today, I was in a very good place with my interview process with Trivago. But obviously, with those extraordinary circumstances as we know them, all the travel industry took a direct hit and the role I was applying to was put on hold indefinitely. I was also in a very good place with my interviews with the likes of Revolut and HSBC, but for some BS reason, they turned me down. Like HSBC, I found out that when I was doing my final interview with them, they had actually hired someone for that same position the week before and didn't tell me. I only found out later on, and those were only the notable ones because obviously I applied to so many more places. And one day I received a message on LinkedIn for a position at Facebook. First reaction, no way. Is this for real? I got shivers down my spine. Obviously I applied. I did 1 interview, 2 interviews, 5 interviews in total. And every time when I was told I moved up to the next stage, I was freaking out. Because I really couldn't believe it. And then, that Friday, I had the final interview at noon. And I thought, I'm gonna have to wait all weekend long for an answer. 2 hours later that day, the offer was on the table. I got the job. Today I'm joining Facebook as a senior user experience designer. And I still can't believe it because nothing, absolutely nothing, nor anyone would have ever imagined the journey I was going to take.
井上。
我が名はユーハ・バッハ。お前のすべてを奪うものだ。術者！絶唱！